Welcome in to Says Who Sports. I'm John Dauphin. We are joined right now by a man from a premier basketball family that has for decades represented competing at a high level and executing the fundamentals and impacting kids the right way. A man who hails from Morgantown, West Virginia, and still calls it home, but who lit it up as a scorer in Ohio high school basketball as a player back in the day, still among the top all-time scorers in Ohio high school basketball history, who owns the third most wins in D1 men's college basketball history. Try 935 of them. To put that in perspective, names below his on that list of all-time winningest coaches include Dean Smith, Bob Knight, and Roy Williams. A man who led Cincinnati and West Virginia to Final Fours, a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame, the man they call Huggy Bear and Hugs. College basketball misses his presence. Bob Huggins, Coach, it's so good to have you here. Thank you for it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Coach, first got to say you've lost some serious pounds in the last year or two. I saw a picture of you and one of my favorite broadcasters, Tim Brando, recently and thought, wow, in general, how much have you lost and how have you done it, Coach?
No, I was just getting ready for football.
You grew up in Doug Hill, Sabreton, essentially suburban Morgantown, before you moved to Northeast Ohio, to an area, by the way, that's close to where Cy Young is buried and Woody Hayes went to high school, not too far from where Bob Knight grew up. Add the Charlie Huggins family to that mix. Your dad, Charlie, and we'll talk about it, among the best ever coaches in Ohio basketball history, made a big mark on the game at Indian Valley South with Ed McCluskey. But your grandfather, Coach Huggins, also fed your early love of playing basketball, put the first basket up for you at your house. Describe that hoop, the one he put up in the garage, and then how it worked when he put it up on the side of the house, Coach.
Well, we sat and listened to West Virginia basketball on the radio. And I was, every time out, I'd run out and grab a ball, and my grandfather had a basket up at the top of the stairs that I could shoot at during timeouts, and then I'd run back in and listen to what was going on. So, my dad played there for a little while, played at WVU for a little while as well. So, and we listened to everything. I mean, my grandfather was really big on listening to the games on the radio, and we listened to games on the radio. And my mother grew up in Morgantown. My mother grew up on 8th Street, worked at the shirt factory with her mother and her sisters. I was just I was a young kid just kind of running around.
And Coach, you mentioned going out and shooting hoops during halftime, and of course you were listening to the great mountaineer Jerry West. But your grandfather put that up in the garage, and there was a coal dust factor, right? Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, there was stored the coal in the back of the garage, so there was quite a bit of dust. But my grandfather did pretty much whatever he thought I needed to do what I wanted to do, which was play basketball. So he put something up in the garage and it was winter, and it was too cold to go outside. And so I learned how to dunk, I guess, in a garage. It really was pretty easy. But yeah, my grandfather did that. He put a basket at the top of the stairs during timeout, so I could run over the stairs and try to shoot a ball in the basket. Actually, sometimes my grandmother or my mother would sit up there and just throw the ball back out when it went in the basket, or if it went astray.
And speaking of Jerry West, he presented you and Rod Thorne for induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 22. Jerry West died last summer. Talk about your relationship with Jerry and his influence on you, Coach, not just as that young player you were shooting baskets and listening to Mountaineer basketball on the radio, but later as a friend and confidant.
Well, Jerry's a great person, and was a great person, and he was great to me. I mean, I would sit and talk to Jerry for hours about basketball. He had a lot of ideas and things that he thought could make the game a little better. Just a great guy, very intelligent guy, very, very intelligent guy, and I was blessed to have his son Johnny West play for me at WVU. So I got to know Jerry very well.
Coach, as a young coach, you at Akron, nobody knew who you were from a national sense. Ed Janka at Nike opened that door for you and put you on those famed Nike coaches clinics. You were a young coach spending time on the road with legends. What was it like? Legends like Jerry Tarkanian and Lute Olson. What was it like for you as a young coach listening to these guys talk basketball and life, Coach Huggins?
Well, I think first of all you have to understand that I followed a legend all the time. My father went and did a bunch of clinics all over Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia. And I was kind of the guy who demonstrated things or a lot of different things, but learned a lot from my dad, an absolutely great deal from my father, and so I kind of was maybe a little more in tune with what went on at clinics and what coaches wanted to talk about and didn't want to talk about because I spent so much time with my father.
What was your relationship like among, again, mentioned those coaches that were on that circuit? Jerry Tarkanian, talk about your relationship with Tark, Coach Huggins.
Had a great relationship with Tark. Tark, I was sitting in the stands watching a tournament game, and Tark came up and sat down beside me and started talking to me and started, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Really enjoy watching your teams play. And I just kind of fell in love with the guy in terms of basketball, and we would sit and talk. The tough thing was you didn't get to watch much of the game because we're talking back and forth to each other about basketball. Spent a lot of time with Jerry. Spent a great deal of time, and he was great about, come on, let's go to dinner. And in Vegas he didn't have to pay for anything, so it was a pretty good deal.
Strong personality, amazing coach as well. College basketball has lost many of the best coaches and personalities in recent years, guys who brought serious skill and spice to the game. You, Roy Williams, Coach Boeheim, Coach K. Pitino was gone for a bit. Thank goodness, from my perspective, he's back. John Calipari, I'm a big fan of, still doing it. Have always been a fan of Coach Cal. You've known Coach Cal for a long time. What's your best Coach Cal story, Coach Huggins? How far back do you go with him?
A real good ways. Went back to the days of 5-star, particularly when they had 5-star in Pittsburgh. And Cal was at that time was kind of like the water boy. Ran around and got water for all the coaches and all those kind of things, and just loved basketball, and would come and sit with me when I was in between games, whatever, and sitting there, and we would talk basketball, and but I talked basketball with everybody, so that wasn't a big deal. But no, I've known Cal for forever and ever and ever.
talking with the legend Bob Huggins. Will you share your thoughts about a few guys in particular who played for you at Cincinnati and West Virginia? Kenyon Martin, National Player of the Year in 2000. Your Bearcat team was top ranked in the country for 3 months that season, loaded heading into the tournament. Kenyon goes down with a broken leg in the conference tournament. What was it like to coach Kenyon Martin?
Kenyon was great. I recruited Kenyon out of Texas. His mom was a champion sprinter up north there, and she was terrific. I got to know his sister very well. It was a great family, and Ken and I got to be very close, and brought him into maybe being able to stretch what he could do. You know, he was a terrific rebounder and a scorer right around the goal, but I wanted him to be able to step out on the perimeter, to be able to bounce the ball a little bit better. And so we spent a lot of time doing those kind of things, really in between practices.
Nick Van Exel, Coach Huggins, floor general and more for your Cincinnati team that made it to the Final Four in '92. Tough as nails, clutch. What did you learn from coaching Nick Van Exel?
Let him do what he wanted to do. He had the ball the majority of the time, and he had great skill with the basketball. I mean, he would be, guys would get in front of him, and all of a sudden he'd be to their right, and they'd run over there, and then he'd go back to his left, and he had people just running everywhere. He would kind of fake attack them, and they sometimes fell down trying to go backwards, trying to stay in front of them. He just had great skill with the basketball, and was a guy who really enjoyed passing the basketball. Mm. And I mean, we were blessed. I mean, I got Corey Blunt, Eric Martin, and Terry Nelson, and Nick all in one swelled scoop, and brought them to Cincinnati.
The JC route?
They were all JC guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were all JC guys, but they were all guys that loved basketball, loved the game, and guys that were good guys. They were fun to be around.
Yeah, toughness for sure. So much talent. Da'Sean Butler, coach, was among the few best players, if not the best at that time, college basketball 2010. Your Final Four West Virginia team goes down with a serious knee injury in the semifinal versus Duke. Talk about what it was like coaching Da'Sean.
Well, I think the worst part was I remember Kenyon going down in the conference tournament and tearing his knee up, and then Da'Sean going down pretty much kind of like the same kind of way at maybe the same kind of time. And so, two of the very best. I've had a lot of really good players, but those two guys were special. And to have those two guys go down, particularly when they went down, where they didn't get to go to the tournament and really want to win. They wanted to win a national championship is what they wanted to do, and I believe to this day that we would have won national championships if those guys had not torn up their knee. But at that time, they wanted to come back and play. I'm like, man, you guys have a great career ahead. Let's don't fool around and screw everything up to where you're not going to be able to finish what you started. And had a lot of long talks with particularly those two guys about that.
And Coach, they speaking of careers ahead of them, Kenyon recovered, obviously went on to strong career many years in the NBA. Da'Sean was drafted, never really able to play at his highest level after the injury, but strange how things kind of come full circle. Da'Sean, right now on the Celtics coaching staff with Joe Mazzulla, who was a captain on your 2010 Final Four team. Small world. Share your thoughts, Coach Huggins, about Mazzulla and Butler together on that Celtics staff now, teaching young guys.
Well, they're both basketball guys, which is really important. Da'Sean was like as people say, a sponge. You know, he just took everything in. And when he got hurt, he was, I made him a coach because I want him to continue to learn the game. And it was pretty obvious he wasn't going to be able to come back and play the way he was able to play before he got hurt. But had a great mind for basketball. And I just wanted him to soak up everything that he could soak up. And, fortunately, Kenyon was able to come back and play. But he had the same way. I mean, he was a guy who kind of told everybody else where to go, what to do. Kind of was listened and learned.
Listened and learned. Gotcha. And Kenyon's son, KJ, right, with the Sixers right now. Do you watch much NBA, Coach? And if so, what's your take on what you see?
I don't watch very much. I got so many other things going on that I don't really have time to sit and watch. Kenyon did bring his son here to Morgantown. And he ended up having a great career. He came here and he didn't particularly like Morgantown, I don't think. And Ken said, "What do I do?" I said, "Move on, man. I mean, go somewhere where he enjoys playing, like you enjoyed playing in Cincinnati."
Sure, yeah, you're looking out, as always, for the best interest of the kids, him in that case. And you mentioned there, Coach, you've got so many other things going on. I wanted to ask you, or will ask you about that. You've been away from a coaching perspective, been away. This is the second season away. Is there it's in your blood. You've done it your whole life. I mean, decades, and of that family. Is there a time of the season, of the calendar, that the maybe missing coaching hits you the most? Like some ignorant like myself might think, well, March Madness, tournament time, but is it like in the fall when the season's around the corner? When do you feel it, if you feel it, in terms of missing it?
Well, I've been blessed. I mean, I've been blessed to be able to help people. I've gone to the southern tip of West Virginia, and we started a toy drive down there for the young people down in southern West Virginia. I've gone to hospitals throughout the state and gone, from room to room and talked to young people. And it's I haven't lacked for things to do, and I really haven't lacked for things that I thought were important, and so I got to be able to do things that I thought was important, and then able to do that, I traveled around the state. I met more people, more West Virginians, and it's been, I think everybody says, what do you do, without basketball, and it hasn't affected me really. very much. And then, you know, sometimes I sit and I think back about my father. When my father packed in high school basketball, that's what he did. He still went around. I mean, he still spoke at clinics. He still went to practices. He still tried to help young coaches. And that's kind of what I've been doing, and not just young coaches, but young people.
Appreciate you sharing that. And speaking of your dad, Charlie, and those basketball camps for decades in Eastern Ohio brought the best of the best, and what a scene it was for so long on behalf of the kids and teaching the game the right way, the fundamentals. He was a grinder, a disciplinarian, for lack of a better word, get it done. Your mom died in '04 while you were at UC. You established, while you were there, the Norma Mae Huggins Cancer Endowment. You've continued that at West Virginia, raised more than $20 million for cancer research. Your fish fries become a key fundraising piece of that. You've said, Coach Huggins, your mom was your best friend. You could talk with her about anything. What sticks with you the most that you learned from your mom about life?
Well, my mom was pretty much, you know, hold your head up, you know, go do what you're asked to do. Don't try to do things that you're not capable of doing or that you really don't want to do. Go do things that you enjoy, and go do things that help other people. And I've kind of followed that. I mean, my mother was, I can't explain what a great person my mother was. I mean, we grew up in a trailer with 7 kids, and a big old sheepdog that my dad kind of liked, so he got a pass, I guess, the dog. But yeah, I mean, it's I've been blessed, man. I've been blessed to be around people who understand and who really know the ins and outs of what to do, not just in athletics, but in terms of trying to help other people.
The game of basketball, you know, and you've mentioned it in terms of being blessed many other ways, but certainly so many ways through the game of basketball. It's given you and your family so much, and you, your family has given so much to the game. Your dad kicking all that off, your brothers through the decades, all the way to the Hall of Fame for you. But it's not all ups for anyone in life. I mean, there are downs or mistakes for many people. The public never sees them. For you, there was a twofer in the spring of 2023. The Cincinnati radio show remarks and the DUI arrest in Pittsburgh. Ultimately, Coach, you gave up the job you loved so much as coach at West Virginia. Again, that stuff is public. So many mistakes for most people are out of the public eye. But it's about learning from mistakes when we make them, hopefully being better because of it. What have you learned, Coach, about yourself from going through that time that has made you better, and maybe the sharing of it can help others?
Yeah, well, I think one of the two was 100% my fault, and I think the other one was pretty much a setup. So I didn't handle it. I should have been smarter. I didn't handle it as well as I should have handled it. But I mean, I think everybody makes mistakes, and you make mistakes. You deal with the mistakes, and you learn to be better. You learn to help other people. It's a great way to learn. It's not a fun way, but it's a great way to learn.
Charlie Spoonhour, legendary coach, later years was coach at St. Louis and UNLV. Strong influence on you. Talk about Coach Spoonhour's influence on you. Coach Huggins, what did he teach you about life that maybe you as a young coach didn't yet grasp?
Maybe the most laid-back person I've ever met. Spoon was the best. Everyone loved him. You know, everywhere he went, everything he did, people loved him, and I loved him. I mean, what a great person. He came to. I've got a cabin in Tuscarawas County, family cabin, and he came to the cabin. He was at the cabin, and he came over and he said, "Can we go see? Can we go see where Cy Young's buried?" Mm-hmm. Sure. So we went up, and he had tears in his eyes.
Wow.
He's such a great. He was such a great person, and I spent a lot of time with him. We spent a lot of time together. I think we both enjoyed each other's company a great deal. And I spent time in St. Louis, and he spent time in. He spent time everywhere. He would spend time at the cabin, and he spent time at my house in Cincinnati. He was absolutely the greatest, and he would go sit down and talk to my players, you know, and you could tell things were going well. You know, I'm kind of standing there, and they're all laughing their heads off because Spoon's doing what Spoon does best.
Great stuff. Bob Huggins, the legend. As mentioned in the open, Coach, you are third all-time winningest coach in D1 basketball history. Only names above you are Coach K and Coach Boeheim. And you've said, and I get it, you know, I've been blessed with great players, good players. The players make the thing. But from your perspective, what does separate a great coach from a good coach?
Well, a lot of things. I think how you deal with people. I think how you deal with administrations, how you deal with your players, how you deal with the community. We do a lot of things. You know, we're asked to do a lot of things that most people never have to do. And, you know, Cincinnati's a great town. Cincinnati's a great town. It's a great sports town. So I was blessed to be around a lot of great people. A lot of great people that were football players, that were basketball players. I mean, just I've been blessed. I mean, I can't. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, because I really was. I was blessed to grow up where I grew up. I was blessed to have a mother and father that I had. I'm blessed to have siblings.
Oldest of 7, right, Coach? 3 boys. You, Harry, and Larry?
Yes, sir. And those guys were talented. Those guys were really good players in their own right.
Larry played on that, and you were instrumental to get him there. You spent 2 years under Eldon Miller, on Eldon Miller's staff at Ohio State, 79 and 80. What do you say about those couple of seasons at Ohio State? Could be coaching Kellogg, tournament coming up short, loaded team, and most importantly, your own experience. And again, the opportunity Coach Miller gave you?
I think the world of Coach Miller. I was fortunate enough that we didn't get a couple of the guys that we set out to get, and I told Coach, I said, let's just go get my brother. He'll fill in and take care of our needs. And Coach was great, and brought Larry in, and Larry did a terrific job. And I think fit in very well with Clark. He and Clark were friends anyways, and Kelvin, and I mean that whole crew. They were great people. They were absolutely great people. And I think the great thing about Eldon is he, Craig Taylor was around all the time. That was back when Craig was selling shoes. But just being around Bill Hoskett.
Legend.
Great, I've been blessed, man. I've been around people who understand the game. I was just blessed. I mean, Coach was great for me, and great to me. Chuck Mashak was great to me. So I mean, I got to be around Woody Hayes. Woody would periodically come down to the basketball office and tell Eldon, I'm taking him with me for a while. And Coach would say, okay. And I'd go down and I'd talk to Woody, and Woody'd talk about Tuscarawas County and Cy Young, Newcomerstown.
Wow.
And, the people in Tuscarawas County. So, I mean, I don't know how anybody could have it better than what I had it.
Outstanding, Coach Huggins. Will you share your thoughts about the sacrifice and the coach's family thing? It's a coach's family is unique, but the sacrifice that your wife June made and your family made, 2 daughters, growing up while you were gone a lot. And how she held down the fort and then some.
Oh, she did a great job. But I mean, that's part of our business is travel, and June did a great job with our kids. But I mean, and that being said, our kids were great, and are to this day. They're intelligent. They did a great job in school. They've got great jobs. So June and I we're blessed to have the 2 daughters that we have.
Grandkids, Coach?
No.
Do you
dogs and cats, but no kids.
Speaking of the dogs, I meant to ask you earlier. The sheepdog. What was his name or her name?
The sheepdog my father had?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if I even remember.
That's all right. I just thought you might pull out a classic there. So Christmas is next week, Coach. What do you and the family do for Christmas? Any particular traditions? Will you be home? Do you travel?
Well, Again, I've got 4 sisters and 2 brothers. So, yeah, we travel. We all travel. We all pick a spot and we all go to that spot, be it my sister Linda's or Harry's or whomever, and we all just kind of go there and enjoy each other. And now we all pretty much have children. So our kids get to be very close with their cousins, which is, I think, a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, that's huge. Do you have on the coaching front, just a couple more for you, Coach, and so appreciate you taking the time with us at Says Who Sports. From a coaching perspective, is that past? Do you still have an active desire to do it? How do you see that in your mind, coaching college hoops again, potentially, or no?
I think in the right situation, I would love to, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it the way it was done in some places that I worked. I think it's about young people. I think it's about, it's, you go to college to be able to make something yourself, to be able to do what it is that you want to do, that how you want to spend the rest of your life, how you want to be able to raise your family. I mean, a lot of things, and I think those are wonderful things, and I think those are things that help you, other than sitting in a classroom in college. But I think in everything, there's people who only care about themselves and what they can get out of it, instead of trying to help young people and help them when they need direction.
When you look at college basketball, what do you see now? And by that I mean, and you were right there, even 2 seasons ago, all of these changes happening, it's only increased with the NIL and the portal and the transfers and the money, etc. Do you like where the game is when you look at it?
No, I don't like where the game is, but I think there's a lot of people to blame. I think the NCAA went too far. I think college presidents went way too far. Not all of them, but it only takes a few.
Too far in terms of what, Coach, generally?
Being involved in something they don't know anything about. Have no idea. I mean, I worked for I've worked for a couple that wouldn't have any idea about what goes on, about what we do, about young people and what the needs of young people. It's I think coaches have a special deal. The majority of coaches that, I mean, I still live here in Morgantown, and I've got guys that they come in and out of my house like they own it. And June's great with them. I've got guys that lived at my house. I've got 4 or 5 guys that have lived at my house here, because they needed a place to stay for a while. I don't think you'd find a college president doing that.
So well said. Appreciate you, Coach. And lastly, and you've mentioned it, key word you've mentioned many times in this conversation is blessings and being blessed. In essence, how do you sum up your gratitude for the game of basketball and what it's given you and how it's allowed you to impact so many youngsters beyond the court?
I was blessed. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. I was blessed to be around my father and watch how he dealt with young people. I was blessed that my dad had a lot of friends in the coaching world that were absolutely great to me. I mean, not good, great. To be able to go to Farrell, Pennsylvania, and watch a guy who may have been the best high school coach in the history of high school basketball. Watch him work. I just got inducted into a Hall of Fame up in Michigan, and around a whole bunch of other coaches that were high school coaches and were inducted as well. But it's neat to be able to be around those kind of people, and I was around those kind of people probably from the time I could walk. So I think we need more of that. I think we need more of that. I think being able to show and to teach young people that education's important. I mean, whether you're whatever it is that you want to come out with a degree of, it's important that you know what you're doing. Well, you watch other people. You watch other people, and you see that the people who are successful are people who care. And I mean, and we've got from college presidents to guys sweeping the floor. Everybody has a job. Everybody has a job, and everybody needs to understand it's not about them. It's about us.
Wow. So well said, and certainly a big chip off of the Charlie Huggins block. So appreciate you taking the time, Coach Huggins, and appreciate everything you've done for not just college basketball, but for sports. And as you mentioned there, for people. Big respect. Thanks again. And best to you and your family, and Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you much. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.